Beloved Creator in each of us and in all that is. Procreation, the conception and the birthing of a child and of flora and fauna, is a magnificent miracle. It is life itself. There is nothing greater, more moving, or stunning than the realization, the witnessing, and the experiencing of it. It cannot be taken lightly. Procreation, as given by Creator, has no match. And the birth of every single one of us, as with flora and fauna, is therefore a sacred rite. Now, for those of us who know how perverse the issue of this miracle has become, we pause. To think on the perversity of it, to feel the agony of it at its core, any feeling, thinking, compassionate, aware being is appalled at the vile disregard that such a profound occurrence has become a matter of business. Pausing on the worst of it is so unthinkable, yet it must be seen and felt. And we here have seen it and felt it one way or another. The business of life has become so evil as to defile the very magnificence of Creator's greatest gift, that of life and the life force of the spirit within. Birth, even conception and all the perfect parts of development to maturation, have been allowed to be perverted, inverted, and defiled. No more. We are here celebrating that such evil forces are being revealed and extricated right now. Our knowing and regard for what has been and is are our strength and the torch we carry. We carry God's light and lightning force, at once supporting and forging the current unmasking of the vile and desperate darkness too many among us are yet ignorant of. When the time is right, and very soon, like a bolt of lightning, this will change the heretofore manipulated minds of the minions and masses. That time is now, with more coming, and we stand steadfast to witness the track we've been on rewarded. It is in gratitude that we stand. It is in gratitude that we are moved. And it is in gratitude that we speak without hesitation, but with reverence and the wonder of it all. That we are here now as witnesses and facilitators to your divine glory, beloved Prime Creator, and for what words fail to adequately extol the magnificent gift of life. We pray that your love pours into every heart like a flood and with a fire of passion, so that our planet can get on with the business of living a life that is no longer someone's business, but is our own profound and personal gift, freely given. In that, our spirits triumph in your glory. Let it be so, and so it is.
Thank you, Charlie.
My pleasure.
Hello, my name's Ron Vroom, and I'm the old white man talking head for the Oregon Statewide Jural Assembly. I have a couple of pieces of paper I have to decode. This is for the sheriffs on Oregon, its president, that's Mark Groten, and its executive, that's Tim Svensson. People know intuitively that an oath is needed from our representatives to protect our best interests. That is their promise to do their best. Then we pretend to do. Wait a minute. Then we pretend they do that. Yeah, that's it. With a preponderance of evidence to the contrary, especially after 2 terms. I'd like to read that again, but not edit and clean it up. People know intuitively that an oath is needed from our representatives to protect our best interest. That's a fact. Yes, we do need an oath. And the one that takes the oath has to honor the oath. It's not just, yeah, that is their promise to do their best. Then we pretend they do that with a preponderance of evidence to the contrary, especially after 2 terms. We're seeing some evidence of this all over Oregon. They lie, they cheat, and they steal. And then they compromise with the opposition to further their best interests. And I'm not saying everybody, and I'm not saying all the time. I'm just saying, after 2 terms, as sheriff, you're getting a little dicey. Things just stack up. It's time to go away. A transfer of authority, a new broom. Now, on Oregon, they have been swapping the office of sheriff through the ranks of sheriff on every county, with only one known exception, and that was when the chief of police in Bend was accidentally elected to be sheriff for 1 term. Then they corrected that error and went on. So we know that the sheriffs are selected and then they are elected. And they're elected as less than what they should be. Now, I was told that when you run for the office of sheriff, you have to be bondable. So part of running for the office of sheriff is to prove that you're bondable. So then you're a bondable candidate for sheriff, and you have proof of that. And then you get elected sheriff. And then the bonding company will not bond you frequently. So they arrived at risk management from DAS. Somehow, dillying, dallying, dividing out, sharing responsibilities. But we don't have a single sheriff out of 36 with the proper oath. It seems to me like after all that passing the sheriff back and forth and down the line, seems to me like you guys would have it better together, but you don't. So that's our responsibility because we're no longer deceived. So in looking at this document, has the state of Oregon seceded from the federal government of the United States? That's the premise of this piece of paper here. And I didn't write it. Because if not, then you and we have the same sovereignty. Don't fool yourself. If you're a man or a woman on the land and soil jurisdiction on Oregon, you are a sovereign without ruler and without subject. You have to want to change from that jurisdiction to anything else. You do not have to be corporate. Oregonians or Oregon sovereignty doesn't derive from obscure interpretations or pseudo-legal theories. It is grounded in clear established principles of constitutional, and they say federal law, and I imagine they mean U.S. code, granting its status as a state within the United States with specific powers and government. That's not true. Oregon is one of the several states among the 33 states of the United States of America. The United States is found in Washington, District of Columbia. Forts, ports, and needful buildings, such as the Marco Hatfield building where they struck out. So then it says Constitution. The U.S. Constitution. There is no U.S. Constitution. There is the United States of America's Constitution, and then there is the United States Constitution. There is no preamble. That's an affectation by the citizens of Washington, District of Columbia, Inc. The 10th Amendment affirms that any power not granted to the United States are left to the states or the people. We are Article 1, Section 1 on Oregon without rebuttal. That was interesting. Then it says here, admission to the Union, 1859. There was a union, a perpetual union, a confederation and perpetual union in 1859. And Oregon became the 33rd state among those several states. There has been no lawful state after Oregon. So, Oregon joined the United States of America, represented at the time by 32 other states in a Republican form of government in a Congress assembled. The United States is a government service company invented in the Constitution with 23 enumerated powers, obligations, or responsibilities. Then it says, Oregon's Constitution, established in 1857, allegedly, and effected upon statehood, and statehood's constitution defines its structure, powers, and citizens' rights. Article 1, Section 1 acknowledges that all power is inherent in the people, reinforcing properties of self-governance within the legal framework, not outside of it. This isn't about bypassing federal law. It's about operating under the legally defined authority granted to the states within the Union to which they accepted. So let's go back and correct that paragraph. Established in 1857. No, it was submitted in 1857 and it became a document in 1859 when it was accepted by the Congress and signed off by the president and returned to Oregon. Copies at both ends, in Congress and on Oregon. The date's 1859. Then it says Article 1, Section 1 acknowledges that all power is inherent in the people, reinforcing principles of self-governance within the legal framework, not outside of it. That's good. It isn't about bypassing federal law. That's true. Federal law is not involved. The city of Portland is not a subdivision of the county of Multnomah, is not a subdivision of the state of Oregon, is not a subdivision of the United States of Washington, District of Columbia, Inc. That's not government. That's business. That's commerce. That's for profit de facto since November 8th, 1910, on Oregon. But this piece of paper is editable, and we'll get it edited and out in our next publication. Federalism. Federalism did not come about until after March 1861, when the Union and Federal and Lincoln and secession all got rolled up. And when it did, there was a coup, and it became an industrial, military, legal, banker, blah, blah, blah complex. No longer a constitutional republic, but a benevolent dictatorship that changed recently and became malevolent. They are killing us. Oregon's sovereignty exists as part of the broader U.S. federal system. Wrong. The U.S. federal system exists because Oregon is one of the several states and is sovereign, as are all of the men and women on the land of Oregon. Granted by the Constitution, excuse me. It's not granted by the Constitution. It's granted by God. Unalienable rights, guaranteed by the Constitution. Assuming its significant authority over its internal affairs, like criminal law, education, no. Cross that one off. Infrastructure, no. That's state rights. When it crosses the river into Washington, that portion of it is federal, is of the United States, having to do with waterways and the Navy and the Admiralty. But infrastructure is the state's business. So long as state laws don't conflict with the U.S. Constitution, with the United States Constitution, this abbreviation and using the wrong words is not acceptable. And federal laws have no place on Oregon. They don't exist. That's imaginary. The U.S. Code is for the United States. It is not for me and you. Federalism isn't about ignoring or opposing federal jurisdiction. There is no federalism in a de jure form of government. There's only a constitutional form of government. Proper. with the laws of nature and nature's God included. And I yield. Hello, my name's Ron Vroman. I'm the old white man talking head for the Oregon Statewide Jural Assembly. This is to our sheriffs. How do we make a president? Article 2, Section 1. The executive power shall be vested in a president of the United States of America. He shall hold his office during the term of 4 years, and, together with a vice president chosen for the same term, be elected as follows. Each state shall appoint in such manner as the legislature thereof may direct. Oregon does not have a legislature. We haven't had a lawful legislature since January 21st, 2021, and they were tried and convicted. And the de facto still runs them out. So, on Oregon, that'll read as Article 1, Section 1 shall direct, because that's who the provisional government is until they can get a lawful legislature together. And we know what lawful is. So, a number of electors equal to the whole number of senators and representatives to which that state may be entitled in the Congress, but no senator or representative or person, being first person singular of people, holding an office of trust or profit under the United States shall be appointed an elector. That's pretty clear. If you're a representative, a senator, or a person holding an office of trust or profit under the United States, so that means it has to be a person that is unfettered. The electors shall meet in their representative states and vote by ballot for 2 persons, of whom one at least shall not be an inhabitant of the same state with themselves. You can't have 2 from Texas. You can have 1 from Texas and 1 from Wyoming, like Cheney and Bush did. And they shall make a list of all the persons voted for, and of the number of votes for each, which list they shall sign and certify, and transmit sealed to the seat of the government of the United States, directed to the President of the Senate. The President of the Senate shall, in the presence of the Senate and the House of Representatives, open all of the certificates, and the votes shall be counted. The person having the greatest number of votes shall be the president. If such number be a majority of the whole number of the electors appointed, and if there be more than one who has such a majority, and have an equal number of votes, then the House of Representatives shall immediately choose by ballot one of them for president. And if no person having a majority, then for the 5 highest on the list, the said House shall be like manner choose the president, but in choosing the president, the vote shall be taken by states. The members from 2/3 of the states and a majority of all of the states shall be necessary to a choice in every case. After the choice of president, the person having the greatest number of votes of the electors shall be vice president. But if there should remain 2 or more who have equal votes, the Senate shall choose from them by ballot the vice president. There hasn't been a proper president since Buchanan. That's 1860. He was the last president of the United States of America in original jurisdiction before the coup. That's where we have to return to original jurisdiction to properly have a president. And that requires, like it said, 2/3 of 33 states to have a quorum. And I yield.
They do not want to let go of this. They do not intend on losing here. And we do not intend giving it back to them.
And then the bullets started flying. And then he jumps out of the car. And he's got both his hands up. And he got out of the car, and he had his hands in the air. He's like, just shoot me then. This is what you want, just shoot me. And they did. They shot him dead. With his hands in the air, and I fought. I swear to God. He was just walking with his hands in the air. And they shot him. And they shot him dead, and then after he was down on the ground, shot him 3 more times.